video you will watch me paint with a sponge and an airbrush. Why don't you go ahead and watch the video, and later I will tell you more about my airbrush. As you can see, I just take a sponge and dip it into the paint that I have already mixed on the palette, and I just dab it away on the canvas. I've already prepared the canvas with a very light lavender color. Don't try to be too neat with this method, because when you try to be a little shabby, it turns out very beautiful. You can see I'm dabbing away with a different color on top of another, so that there's a hint of one color merging into the other. And when you're left with very little paint, you can dab it in certain areas like the corners, so there's just a hint of those colors. I really enjoyed painting this. It's more about just having fun. And keep mixing up the colors. Don't use just one color at a time. I have taped a stencil with masking tape onto the canvas that I've already painted on, and I'm just airbrushing with Createx colors. Make sure you don't just make it very blocky. See, you can see there are hints of grey and white. I didn't just airbrush with one color. I airbrushed with grey first, and then I airbrushed white over it, so there's a subtle hint of grey coming through. I love the effect of airbrush over sponge painting, because sponge painting looks a lot raw and this looks very fine and neat, so they go well together. Well, more about my airbrush. I bought my airbrush from a website called papupainter.com. I'll have the link in the description below. The only advice I can give you while buying an airbrush is look for one that is 0.25 to 0.3 mm needle, and buy a dual action airbrush. This is the one I have. So this is how a dual action airbrush works. When you press this, it gives out air, and when you pull this behind, the paint comes out along with the air. So in the normal single action airbrushes, you just pull it and both air and paint come out at the same time, so you can't really control it too much as well as you can do with a dual action airbrush. Whereas it's easier, it doesn't clog as often as a single action airbrush does. So you just press it and pull it, and that's how it works. Well, as for the paints that I use with my airbrush, I use opaque Createx airbrush colors. I have a set of 6 which I bought along with the airbrush, and they work very well for me. And this is another thing I use, Rowney artist's acrylic inks. I dilute it because it's got quite a heavy pigment. I dilute it with water. Even the Createx needs to be diluted with water, and you make it into a milky consistency and then use it in your airbrush, or your airbrush will clog quite often. You will also need a compressor for the airbrush, which you can find on the same website which I told you earlier. You can also find these things on eBay or Amazon.in, so feel free to go ahead and check it out and buy whatever is good enough for you. I would still suggest looking at what you're buying. When you're buying online, you don't really know how well it works. I looked at least 3 or 4 different airbrushes before I decided to buy one, because some are heavy and some are light. If you have any questions regarding art or art supplies that are available in India, please ask me in the comments below and I will get back to you as soon as possible. I upload a new video every Friday, so don't forget to subscribe so you can keep up with my latest video, and thank you for watching.